Before my wedding to the crown prince, I caught him having an affair with his half-sister. He promised he would definitely welcome her into the Eastern Palace. You already carry my flesh and blood in your womb. He is my first child. Jiao, I will surely let our child inherit the throne. You are the crown princess I truly want to marry. I will definitely protect you and make you the most honorable woman in the Eastern Palace. The crown prince plotted to make me lose my footing and fall into the water, and had arranged for an outside male to save me. Once there was physical contact, I could no longer be the crown princess, and he could conveniently suggest to the empress that the sisters switch places in the marriage. What a vicious scheme. Since that is the case, I might as well help them fulfill their wish. Before falling into the water, I deliberately bumped into General Qin Mu, the protector of the state. My clothes snagged on his armor, and I fell into the lake along with him. After being rescued by the general protector of the state, I knelt before the empress crying heartbreakingly, "Your subject has had physical contact with the general, and is no longer fit to be the crown princess. I beg your highness to cancel your subject's engagement to the crown prince." The crown prince and my half-sister Jiao were leaning close together, unaware that I heard everything clearly from behind the rockery. Xiao Chen's voice revealed a hint of heartache. "The one I have set my heart on has always been you. If not for my mother consort's disapproval, why would I have asked to marry your legitimate older sister? Noble daughters from prestigious families like her are all like they were stamped out of a mold. None are as understanding and delightful as you." Jiao, my younger half-sister, leaned tightly against him, her words full of dependence and adoration. "Your highness loves me and the child in my belly so much. Jiao is not afraid of being wronged. Even if I enter the Eastern Palace to become a sweeping maid, Jiao is willing." Xiao Chen held her tightly, his voice getting lower and lower. "Rest assured, I will definitely protect you and make you the most noble woman in the Eastern Palace. I have already arranged for the Earl of Pingyang's concubine-born son, second young Master Li, to be by the lake. As soon as your legitimate sister appears, he will push her into the water, then jump in to save her. When everyone comes to watch and sees the two having physical contact, how can your legitimate sister still become the crown princess? If the Empress Mother wants to win over the Grand Tutor's manor, she will definitely agree to switch the sisters for the marriage, and you will be the rightful crown princess." I gritted my teeth behind the rockery. Father had said that Crown Prince Xiao Chen was not a good match to begin with. My marriage into the Eastern Palace was entirely facilitated by the Empress. To consolidate the Crown Prince's position, she wanted to bind our Grand Tutor's manor tightly to the Crown Prince's ship. After the engagement, leveraging the influence of the Grand Tutor's manor, the Crown Prince won over quite a few scholars to build momentum for the Eastern Palace. But I never expected that he would be so ungrateful, and even have an illicit affair with my younger half, and just so his half-sister could become the crown princess. He actually came up with such a poisonous scheme to harm me. In this world, a woman's reputation is so important. We at least knew each other, yet he decided my life and death so lightly. Thinking of this, I silently stepped back, retreating to the edge of the lake. "Miss, the crown prince is actually so vicious. Let's go back and tell the master," the maid Bijou said angrily. I replied calmly, "Don't worry, your miss has her own ways. Since the crown prince and my half-sister are in love, I might as well let them be together, just so their deep affection doesn't go to waste." Because it was a flower viewing banquet hosted by the Empress, noble ladies were wandering by the lake in twos and threes, and there were quite a few sons from noble families as well. I walked out from the rockery and saw a man standing by the lake. I froze for a moment. It was the Protector General, Qin Mu. Qin Mu was brave and skilled in battle, earning illustrious military merits at a young age. The Crown Prince tried time and again to rope Qin Mu into his camp, but Qin Mu never agreed, continuing to maintain his neutrality. I watched the sneaky figure appearing diagonally behind me. The concubine-born son of Earl Pingyang was leading a servant. From their angle, they could only see me, but not Qin Mu. I smiled faintly and walked slowly towards Qin Mu. But while still a distance away, I was knocked down by the servant rushing out from behind. I let out a scream and fell toward Chinmu, who had his back to me. My clothes snagged on his armor, and under the impact, he was caught off guard and lost his footing, sending us tumbling into the lake together. Bijou screamed, "Help! Someone come quick! Our young miss has fallen into the lake!" The cry for help startled everyone by the lake, as well as the crown prince and my younger half-sister behind the rockery. Before the palace guards could rush over, Chinmu had already saved me and brought me to shore. Bijou took the opportunity before outsiders could arrive to wrap me tightly in a cloak. Jiao stood beside the crown prince, looking at my soaking wet appearance, and exclaimed in shock, "Sister, how did you fall into the lake? And to be with a strange man? What are we going to do?" She looked at the dazed second young Master Li by the lake, assuming he was the one who had saved me, and pointed at him, saying, "Now that everyone saw him carry you up, sister, your reputation is ruined. How are you going to marry His Highness the Crown Prince?" She turned her face and looked up at the Crown Prince. "Your Highness, sister must have been careless. She must have been terrified. Otherwise she wouldn't have hugged a man so tightly and been carried ashore like that." Hearing her words, the Crown Prince looked at me, soaking wet, his face turning livid. "Juya, how could you be so careless? Falling into the lake with a strange man, you are the Crown Princess. Having lost your purity like this, how can you still be my wife?" When the Empress arrived, she heard this very sentence and scolded sternly, "Chenner, shut up." The noble ladies, hearing my younger sister's words, were already buzzing with gossip. "Oh my God, Kuijia was actually saved by a strange man. What is going to happen now? Right? The wedding is coming up soon, and she is the crown princess. Being held by another man like that, how could she show her face in public if word gets out? If the crown prince doesn't marry her, and she has had physical contact with someone else, wouldn't her whole life be ruined?" The crowd hadn't seen who saved me, and hearing Jiao talk like that, they all assumed it was second young Master Li who had pulled me out. My face was pale as I knelt on the ground, looking up at the Empress. Yet my expression was one of determination. "Your Majesty, this subject accidentally fell into the water. Fortunately, a kind soul saved me. Since I have had physical contact with a strange man, I know I am no longer worthy to be the crown princess. I beg your Majesty to grant permission to cancel my marriage to the crown prince." The Empress was speechless. Seeing my state, she knew I had just been pulled from the water and had indeed violated the strict propriety between men and women. She frowned, looking troubled. The crown prince chimed in from the side. "Imperial Mother, the crown princess is the wife of the heir and the future mistress of the central palace. Her reputation cannot have the slightest blemish. Eldest Miss Kui is well educated and knows propriety. She does not wish to tarnish the reputation of the Eastern Palace. Imperial Mother, why not grant her request and annul the engagement? She has suffered a fright. Why don't you bestow some gifts upon her as a consolation? Imperial Mother, people will only praise your benevolence, and will certainly not spread baseless rumors or discuss Miss Kui's lack of chastity." The Crown Prince's every word was an insinuation, and every sentence implied that I had lost my chastity. The Empress feigned helplessness. "Juyue, you know how fearful gossip can be. It is rare that you understand propriety. Fine then, the engagement between the Crown Prince and the Kui family is cancelled. We will choose another Crown Princess." I bowed deeply. "Thank you for your grace, your Majesty." The moment I knelt down, the corners of my mouth curled up. No matter what outsiders said, I had finally escaped the marriage with the Crown Prince. From now on, I would be a free person. I could use the excuse of going out to clear my mind to travel around the vast world I longed for. The corners of my mouth hadn't even lowered when Xiao Chen spoke again. "Imperial Mother, young Master Li saved Jiao's life, and they had skin-to-skin contact during the rescue. Why doesn't Imperial Mother grant a marriage between him and eldest Miss Kui? It would count as fulfilling a good match." I refused in a loud, clear voice. "Your Highness, I will not marry young Master Li." My younger sister kindly advised, "Sister, now that your reputation is ruined, marrying young Master Li is the best way out for you. You absolutely must not be willful. Otherwise, who would dare to marry a woman whose body has been seen by another man? I raised my eyes to look at her. Who said the person who saved me was young Master Li? When you arrived with the crown prince just now, I had already been saved. You didn't see who saved me yet. You insist it was young Master Li. Why is that? Or are you saying you knew beforehand that I would fall into the lake, and knew beforehand that young Master Li would go into the water to save me? As soon as the words fell, the way everyone looked at Jiao and the crown prince changed. That is right. We arrived even earlier than second Miss Kui, and we didn't see it. So how is she so certain that it was young Master Li who saved eldest Miss Kui? Could it be that she had a hand in this? That is hard to say. The legitimate and the concubine-born never get along, and Kui Jiao isn't exactly a simple-minded person. Xiao Chen's face turned livid. Nonsense, Jiao was just concerned about you when we arrived. Second young Master Li was the one standing beside you. What else do you have to say? I sneered coldly, stood up, and looked at young Master Li. Young Master Li, was it you who saved me? Young Master Li stammered. Yes, it was indeed I who saved the young miss. Bijou spat. Pah, young Master Li. You really have some nerve. My miss wasn't saved by you at all. You say you went into the water to save someone, but the clothes on your body are dry. I ask you, how did you save the miss? Don't tell me you know magic. Going into the water without even getting your robes wet. Actually, everyone likely knew there was something fishy about this. They just didn't want to offend the crown prince. Young Master Li was neatly dressed and completely dry. How could he be the one who saved her? You dare to lie even in front of the empress? Do you have a death wish? I shouted sternly. Jiao stepped forward. Sister, perhaps young Master Li did find time to change his clothes. I know you are upset about losing the position of crown princess, but you cannot treat your savior like this. There is no one else here. Sister, you say someone else saved you, but where is that person? Besides young Master Li, who else is there? As the legitimate daughter of the Kui family, how can you spout such nonsense? If father finds out, you will surely be made to kneel in the ancestral hall. I looked at her coldly. You framed your sisters and stirred up trouble. Go back to the Kui residence and receive your punishment yourself. As expected of someone raised by a concubine is your brain stuffed with grass. Xiao Chen shielded her. Nowadays, aside from young Master Li, no one else will marry you. I will ask the Empress Mother to grant you a marriage, which counts as saving a shred of face. How long are you going to be so willful? You have to know. You can no longer be the crown princess. You say it wasn't young Master Li who saved you. Then tell me, who was the person who saved you? The person who saved her was me. Qinmu appeared from behind the crowd, bringing an imperial physician with him. He hadn't even changed out of his soaked clothes yet. General Protector? So it was General Qin who saved Miss Kui? Young Master Li is really shameless, actually posing as Miss Kui's savior. Young Master Li turned bright red from the scolding and backed away repeatedly. Qinmu knelt down at the side. Your Majesty, when Miss Kui fell into the water, it was my lack of consideration that damaged Miss Kui's reputation. Please, Your Majesty, make the decision and grant a marriage between me and Miss Kui. Qinmu's appearance instantly turned the situation around, and the way everyone looked at me was instantly filled with envy. The General Protector is the Emperor's favorite, with illustrious war achievements and a clean private life. There isn't even a single bed-warming maid or concubine in his manor. Since his return to the capital, the threshold of the general's manor has practically been trampled flat by matchmakers. But he didn't fancy a single one. Yet now, just because he fell into the water with me, he has asked the Empress to grant us marriage. Having just lost the engagement to the Crown Prince, only to have the General Protector immediately propose. The noble ladies are so envious their eyes have turned red. Things have come to this. And since the Protector General is personally asking for the marriage, the Empress could only nod. Very well, I shall grant this marriage to the two of you. An auspicious day will be chosen for the wedding. Qinmu helped me up. Miss Kui, I am sorry. I didn't mean to leave you alone by the lake. It is already autumn, and I was afraid you'd catch a cold. I went to find the imperial physician to check your pulse." The imperial physician smiled from behind. "This old man can certainly vouch for that. When the general dragged me here, he was in a desperate hurry, nearly pulled these old bones apart." I smiled and nodded. "Thank you, General, for saving my life." Glancing over, I saw young Master Li trying to run away, so I hurriedly called out to him. "Young Master Li, I want to ask, who told you to pose as my savior?" Just now when I fell into the water, it wasn't that I was careless, but rather someone pushed me from behind. If the general hadn't saved me, I suppose the one discussing marriage with me right now would be young Master Li. Wouldn't it? By then, I, a woman rejected by the crown prince with a cancelled engagement, being saved by a strange man, would have to marry you no matter what. Young Master Li, isn't that so? Qin Mu looked at young Master Li and roared, still not telling the truth. Young Master Li knelt down with a thud, trembling. "General, Miss Kui, I really didn't mean to. I had no choice." He looked up at the crown prince and begged, "Your Highness, save me." Xiao Chen flicked his sleeve. "What does that have to do with me?" Zhao's eyes darted around as she said, "Young Master Li has always liked eldest sister. Could it be that he acted out of lust and did something wrong?" I stepped forward and swung a vicious slap at her, cutting her off. "Kui Jiao, this slap is your eldest sister warning you. Watch your mouth, or you'll bring disaster upon yourself. I know you are involved in this, although I have no proof. Just based on that look of certainty you had just now, yelling the moment you came up that young Master Li saved me. You can't wash your hands of this." Xiao Chen shoved me away, pulled Jiao into his arms and roared, "Kui Jiwe, how dare you? You dare push my crown princess!" Everyone's expression changed drastically. "What crown princess? No way! The crown prince is going to choose Kui Jiao. She is just a concubine's daughter." The empress's face turned livid. "Crown prince, what nonsense are you spouting?" Xiao Chen gritted his teeth, led his half-sister to kneel before the empress. "The one your son loves is Jiao. I beg Imperial Mother to grant us your blessing." Putting together everything from today. What else could the empress not understand? She pointed at Xiaoan. "You actually cancelled the marriage with the legitimate daughter of the Kui family for the sake of some ridiculous daughter of a concubine. You are muddled, as the crown prince of a nation. How can you act based on your own whims? If your father emperor finds out, think of how disappointed he would be in you. You just broke off your engagement with the eldest Miss Kui. I will not agree to you marrying a daughter of the Kui family, let alone a concubine-born one. This is a slap in the face to the royal family. If you keep pestering me, I'll have this kingdom-ruining vixen beaten to death." Jaya was frightened pale. She swayed unsteadily and fainted right into the crown prince's arms. I hurriedly screamed, "Imperial physician, quick, take a look at my sister. Surely nothing bad will happen to her. Lately she is always looking pale and keeps saying she is dizzy. Don't tell me my sister has some incurable disease?" The imperial physician stepped forward to check her pulse, then suddenly changed his expression. "Second Miss Kui is pregnant." I covered my mouth and backed away step by step. "No, how is that possible? How could she be pregnant, whose bastard is in her belly?" The crown prince stood up with a whoosh. "How dare you? Stop this nonsense! The child in Jiao's belly is royal flesh and blood." As soon as the words fell, everyone froze. Only I laughed out loud in my heart. Very good. Their scandal was actually exposed by themselves. The empress was so angry her face turned pale. "Chenner, you are the crown prince. You haven't even had your grand wedding yet. How could you do such a thing? Before today, your fiancée was still Kui Jiwe. You actually got entangled with her concubine-born sister. How dare you?" My eyes read. I looked at Xiao Chen. "So that is it. I was wondering why someone suddenly pushed me into the lake to ruin my reputation. It turns out it was a scheme your highness set up just to marry Jiao. If your highness likes my sister, why didn't you just say so openly? Why did you have to sacrifice my reputation to make it happen for you two? Jiao is an unmarried maiden, yet she secretly pledged herself to you and is secretly pregnant. You, how can you face me?" Jiao slowly woke up, and hearing this, she cried out, "Sister, please forgive me. I had no choice. Since we were little, father only loved you, and mother only had eyes for you. It is all because you are the legitimate daughter, and I am born of a concubine. Don't blame His Highness for setting you up to fall into the water. If you want to blame someone, blame me. He did it all just for my sake. Growing up, I never dared to compete with you for anything, sister. But just this once, sister, I really like His Highness the Crown Prince, and I want to fight for this. Whether as the Crown Princess, a secondary consort, or a concubine, Jiao doesn't mind. I can do without a title. I only beg to be with His Highness. Even if His Highness cannot marry me, knowing his affection for me, Jiao is content. I can take the child and leave, and never come back again." Xiao Chen hugged her tight. "Silly, I won't let you go." The two of them put on a huge melodramatic show in front of everyone. Qin Mu scoffed from the side. "Your Highness, regardless of what private affair you have with the second Miss Kui, the fact that you schemed to push my fiancée into the water cannot just be let go like this. She is the woman betrothed to you. You knew full well that if she were saved by a strange man, the gossip would kill her. A woman's reputation is so important. Are you trying to force her to her death? If your Highness cannot give Miss Kui an explanation, I will go before His Majesty and beg him to make a fair judgment." Xiao Chen's face was livid as he glared fiercely at Qin Mu. But Qin Mu was unmoved, looking him straight in the eye. "What does your Highness think?" the Empress said sternly. "Chen apologized to eldest Miss Kui." Xiao Chen grit his teeth and lowered his head. "Juya, it was my fault. I am sorry. Fine. If you really want to marry into the Eastern Palace, I'll grant you the position of side consort. I won't hold it against you that you've had physical contact with Qin Mu. That should be enough, right?" I felt sick to my stomach and took a step back. "There is no need. The Empress has already bestowed a marriage between me and General Qin. There is no need for your Highness to worry. I fell into the water and am feeling unwell, so I will take my leave now." After saying that, I left the palace with my maids without looking back. Upon returning to the manor, father and mother already knew what had happened in the palace, and were so angry their faces turned black. Mother smashed a teacup right then and there. What a shameless thing to actually steal her legitimate elder sister's marriage. Knowing full well that the wedding is only a month away, Kui Jiao actually had an illicit affair with the crown prince. Men tie up concubine Zhao for me and take her to the ancestral hall. The second miss has been taught by her to know no shame, to actually commit such an act that damages our family's reputation. How will the sisters of the Kui family discuss marriage or show their faces in public in the future? Mother held me and wept. My poor Yuer has been wronged to have encountered such heartless scum. I dismissed all the servants and whispered to my parents about what happened today. I heard what the Crown Prince and Jikao said. I fell into the water on purpose to break off the engagement with the Crown Prince. It was just a coincidence that the general of the state was by the lake, and I ended up involving him. Mother felt a wave of retrospective fear. "You child, if the general of the state hadn't been by the lake, how did you plan to get away?" I smiled. "Mother, have you forgotten? I lived at my maternal grandfather's house in the south for a few years when I was young. I am a very good swimmer. Even if that second young Master Li wanted to jump in and save me, I would have swum out of sight long ago. But the Crown Prince clearly wants to use father. So I took this opportunity to cancel the marriage, and also cut ties with the Crown Prince's faction." Father pondered. "The Crown Prince is incompetent and foolish. How can he hold on to the East Palace? Our Kui family indeed cannot be tied to him, especially since the Emperor has been increasingly dissatisfied with him lately." I stood up. "The Crown Prince and Jikao have secretly conceived a child. Their marriage is already a done deal. Unless..." Father and I exchanged a glance and said in unison, "Unless Kui Jiao is no longer part of the Kui family." At night, Kui Jiao returned to the manor under the Crown Prince's escort. The Crown Prince gently helped her through the door, but the moment she stepped over the threshold, Father bellowed, "Kui Jiao, kneel down." Xiao Chen froze, then hurriedly said, Lord Kui, Jiao is pregnant now, she cannot kneel. Father looked at the crown prince and asked, have the emperor and empress in the palace already granted a marriage to the crown prince? The crown prince turned his head away guiltily. The emperor and empress were currently furious. So how could they possibly issue a decree for him to marry Kui Jiao? Father spoke again. Since the crown prince has no imperial decree, Jiao is still a daughter of my Kui family. Your subject is handling family affairs now, so I ask the crown prince not to interfere. Kui Jiao, do you admit your fault? Zhe Yao, with red eyes, said timidly. Father, I know I was wrong. Please, for the sake of the crown prince, spare me this time. Father said with a dark face. Spare you? Do you know how many family rules you have broken? First, you knew full well the crown prince is engaged to your eldest sister, and the wedding is imminent. Yet you remain entangled with the crown prince. Second, you are a noble daughter, and the family has always raised you with care, yet you committed the scandal of losing your chastity before marriage. Third, you stop at nothing to achieve your goals, even trying to frame your own sister, causing her to lose her virtue and marry a lecher. Every single one of these matters is enough to bring shame upon the family if spoken aloud. I have made up my mind to send you to the family shrine at our ancestral home. From now on you shall eat vegetarian food and chant prayers there to atone for your sins. Zhe Yao crawled forward on her knees, weeping. No, father. I am your own flesh and blood. What did I do wrong by just wanting a good marriage? The crown prince and I have mutual affection. The one he likes is me. Xiao Chen stepped forward. Lord Kui, Zhu Yao is my woman, and she carries my flesh and blood. How dare you? Father straightened up and looked the crown prince in the eye. As long as Kui Jiao remains a daughter of the Kui clan, she is subject to my discipline. Even if I were to finish her off with a cup of poisoned wine to uphold the family honor, that would still be a matter for my Kui family. Xiao Chen's expression turned cold. What if Jiao is no longer a daughter of the Kui family? Father said coldly. Unless she requests to be stricken from the family tree herself, and is no longer a Kui, in which case I cannot control her. Otherwise, for the sake of the Kui clan's reputation, she must get rid of the fetus in her womb and enter the family shrine to pray. At this moment, concubine Zhao rushed in from outside. It was clear she had slipped past the servant women guarding her to sneak out. Her hair was disheveled as she threw herself at the crown prince's feet. Your Highness, save Jiao. Please take her away. To protect the eldest miss, the master will definitely let Jiao die. Then she hugged Jiao, and they wept together in a heap. Jiao gritted her teeth and looked up. Father, since you cannot tolerate me, I voluntarily request to be removed from the clan. From now on, I am no longer a member of the Kui family. After saying this, she looked up at the crown prince. Your Highness, you will definitely treat Jiao well in the future, right? The crown prince helped her up. Rest assured, I will never let you down, Father shouted sternly. Ku Jiao, think this through clearly. The emperor and empress haven't given their approval. If you leave with him today, you will be without title or status. Would you rather betray your family just to be with him? Jiao raised her head, her eyes filled with determination. Yes, even without a title or status, I want to follow His Highness. I believe he will definitely give me a legitimate status. Father slammed the table. Fine, tomorrow I'll summon the clan elders, open the ancestral hall to strike your name off, and from then on, you will no longer be a daughter of the Kui clan. Early the next morning, Father called the clan elders, opened the ancestral hall, and struck Kui Jiao's name from the Kui family registry. The crown prince directly sent a carriage to wait outside the manor, and Jiao, carrying a small bundle on her back, followed the crown prince and left. This news instantly spread throughout the capital. The empress was so angry she smashed a teacup. Has the crown prince gone mad? For the sake of some insignificant concubine-born daughter, he actually plotted to harm Grand Tutor Kui's legitimate daughter. Now that the Grand Tutor has expelled Kui Jiao from the family, he still doesn't realize the gravity of the situation, and actually took that woman into the Eastern Palace? After saying that, she gritted her teeth and said, Go pass on my words. Make Kui Jiao a cane fei. Just give her the lowest rank in the Eastern Palace. I'd like to see what kind of stunts she can pull then. It is just an heir. Will the Eastern Palace ever be short of those? The imperial decree for my marriage to the general protector of the nation came down very quickly. All of a sudden, I became the hottest noble lady in the capital again, with an endless stream of young ladies and madams coming to my door to make my acquaintance. And Qinmu asked Duke Dingguo and his wife to act as elders and come to present the betrothal gifts. Among the gifts was a pair of live geese he had shot with his own hands, giving me plenty of face. The two families got along famously, and the wedding date was quickly set for 3 months later. At the betrothal banquet, the noble ladies were discussing the buzzing events in the capital. Minister Liu's third daughter asked, "Do you all know what happened in the Eastern Palace yesterday? It was a real drama, quite the spectacle." Sanyang's aunt was consort Shu in the palace, so immediately a noble lady asked curiously, "What big show?" Miss Liu stared wide-eyed. "You guys actually don't know? His Royal Highness the Crown Prince has been married before?" It turned out that on that day, in order to show his doting affection for Kui Jiao, the Crown Prince specially took her to the most luxurious shop in the capital to buy jewelry. Unexpectedly, on the way back to the palace, a woman blocked the Crown Prince's carriage, looking at the Crown Prince with teary eyes. "Xiao Lang, you made Yuer search so hard." As soon as her words came out, the crowd watching the commotion on the street was stunned. Someone actually called the Crown Prince Xiao Lang. As soon as Xiao Chen saw that woman, he looked shocked. He got off the carriage and helped her up. "Yuanyang, how did you find your way here?" The woman called Yuanyang picked up a 2-year-old child from the side. "Yuanyang didn't want to come originally, but after you left Jiangyan, I unexpectedly found myself pregnant. After giving birth to Ruiji, his health was poor. He is 2 years old now and only just learned to call out to people. Yura couldn't bear for him to not have a father's love, and didn't have the money to treat his illness either. So I had no choice but to enter the capital to look for my husband, only to find out you are actually the Crown Prince." When that child saw the Crown Prince, he lunged over, crying and shouting, "Daddy!" Kui Jiao got down from the carriage and gave a delicate scold. "Your Highness, who are they? Why do they call you Daddy?" Xiao Chen hemmed and hawed, and that Yuanyang knelt before Jiao with a thud. "My lady, Yuanyang and the Crown Prince performed wedding vows back then. Only today did I learn he is the current Crown Prince. Yuanyang dares not pray for the position of main wife. I only beg to serve by my husband's side. I beg my lady, for the sake of the child, to give Yuanyang and the child a place to stay." Jiao screamed, "Impossible! Who knows if this child is a bastard? The one in my belly is the Crown Prince's eldest son. Men, drag this woman and child away." Xiao Chen shielded Yuanyang immediately. "Do not be rude. They are my wife and son. A few years ago when I went to Jiangyan, I met Yuanyang by chance. I was attracted by her zither skills, and indeed promised to spend my life with her, and performed wedding vows with her too. Now she isn't asking to be the principal wife. She only asks for a recognized status. Is even that not okay? Ruij looks so similar to me. He is definitely my own flesh and blood. You must not be disrespectful to them, mother and son." Qijiao, disregarding that they were still on the main street, started screaming, "Xiao Chen, I am your wife. What did you say when you were sweet-talking me back then? You said you would make me the crown princess. Said you would make our child the future heir apparent. And now look. Behind my back. You already had a wife and a son. Xiao Chen, if you take that mother and son into the Eastern Palace, I will take my child and die right in front of you." As she spoke, she rushed forward and started tussling with Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen slapped her across the face, then shoved her to the ground. "Presumptuous. I am the reigning crown prince, and you are nothing but a measly kainu, yet you dare to speak of my faults. It seems I have been too good to you usually, letting you push your luck. Men, take Kainu Kui back to the Eastern Palace and confine her. She is not permitted to go out without my order." The guard stepped forward and dragged Kui Jiao away, while Xiao Chen carried Ruier and took Yuanyang onto the carriage to return to the Eastern Palace. I was busy with the wedding these past 2 days, so I hadn't noticed this matter. I didn't expect it to have already spread throughout the capital. Once the guests had all left, Chinmu stayed behind to have a word with me. He looked at me and said, "The Crown Prince and Qijiao actually dared to scheme against you. I have already avenged you." I looked at his smug expression, suddenly thought of what Miss Liu said today, and asked, "The Crown Prince running into that Yuan Yang on the street. Did you get someone to do that?" Chinmu sneered. "I just got someone to look into the Crown Prince's affairs and found that he actually went through a wedding ceremony with someone in Jiangyan, and even had a child. I had a trusted aide pass the news to that Yuan Yang, and it just so happened a caravan was coming to the capital, so they gave them a lift, making their arrival in the capital a bit faster." I let out a PFFT and laughed. From now on, the Eastern Palace is going to be lively. Chinmu laughed too. He makes repeated mistakes handling government affairs in court, and his household is an absolute mess. He doesn't have a principal wife, but a whole pile of messy women. And I heard that the Prince of Jin is returning to the capital soon. He recently married the Prince of Ruoyang's daughter, Commandery Princess Qinghui, as his wife. He is currently in the limelight and is a strong rival to the Crown Prince. If this keeps up, his position as Crown Prince might not be sitting so securely. You are my wife, so naturally I must keep you safe. From now on, you don't need to do anything anymore. Just watch the show." We looked at each other and smiled. I am afraid the Eastern Palace will never have peace again. Sure enough, the news that the Crown Prince hid his identity, married a commoner woman, and even fathered a son soon spread throughout the harem. When the emperor found out, he flew into a rage. The empress knelt on the ground pleading for a whole day. But the emperor didn't soften his heart in the slightest, smashing memorials all over the floor. "A loving mother ruins her child. It is all because of your spoiling. Look at what he has become." For the sake of a daughter of a concubine, he plotted against the crown princess and cancelled the engagement. Now the matter of your private marriage has been exposed again. You unfilial son, let me ask you, do you have any sense of shame in your eyes? Do you have any regard for me and your mother empress? Xiao Chen was hit between the eyebrows, blood flowing down, and answered in a low voice. "Father Emperor, Ruier is your eldest grandson after all." The emperor clutched his chest, panting heavily. "I don't care. Get the hell out. Go kneel outside." The crown prince was just about to get up when an attendant ran in panting. "Bad news, Your Highness the Crown Prince. Someone from the Eastern Palace said that Lady Kui and the new arrival got into a fight, and the imperial grandson was pushed into the lake. The imperial physician says he fears the worst. Please go take a look quickly." Xiao Chen rushed back to the Eastern Palace and found it in total chaos. Yuanyang was holding Brother Rui crying, while Brother Rui lay on the bed, his face pale. The imperial physician was applying acupuncture needles while sighing and shaking his head. This child already had a weak constitution, and the lake water is cold, which has aggravated his condition even more. Whether he can pull through or not depends entirely on his fate. Only after asking did Xiao Chen learn that the two were fighting out of jealousy. Yuanyang held Brother Rui, saying he was the crown prince's eldest son, and that the crown prince had said he would let him inherit the throne. Kui Jiao was burning with rage. "You, a mere songstress, actually dare to compete with me. The child in my womb is of the bloodline of the royal family and the Kui clan. How could the lowly bastard you gave birth to compare? Who knows if this Rui Guige isn't some wild bastard? The royal bloodline tolerates no confusion. Besides, your status is lowly. I am afraid he won't even make it into the Jade genealogy when the time comes. Otherwise, why is it that you've been in the Eastern Palace for 2 days, yet the Empress hasn't even deigned to see you? It is simply because she doesn't want to acknowledge you, mother and son. Take your little bastard and get the hell out of the Eastern Palace right now." After speaking, she shoved Rui backward. Rugi lost his footing, fell back, and landed right in the lake. By the time he was pulled out, he was barely breathing. The next day before dawn, a loud scream came from the Eastern Palace. My Rouge was not saved in the end. He held on for a night, but still died of illness. Yuanyang hugged the child and threw herself into Xiao Chen's arms, crying her heart out. "Husband, you must avenge our child," Xiao Chen said. "Rest assured, I have already placed her in confinement. I won't let her out again." Yuanyang cried. "But our child is dead. How is just grounding her enough? I want her to pay with her life." Xiao Chen sighed. "Don't be unreasonable. She still carries my flesh and blood in her belly. Ruige is already gone. I cannot let the child in her belly come to harm." Yuanyang muttered to herself. "My Ruige is gone, yet she actually thinks she can still give birth. Xiao Chen, if you won't avenge my child, I'll do it myself." Not long after, news spread that Kui Jiao, who was confined to her quarters, suffered severe abdominal pain and endless bleeding from her lower body after drinking a tonic soup brought from the small kitchen, resulting in a miscarriage. Kui Jiao cried and threw a tantrum. Xiao Chen was furious and ordered a strict investigation, which revealed that Yuanyang had drugged the tonic soup. Yuanyang looked at the fuming Xiao Chen and smiled calmly. "What, does the crown prince want me to pay with my life? She killed my child, isn't a life for a life only fair?" Xiao Chen's face turned ashen, and he slumped to the ground. In less than half a month, the Eastern Palace had lost 2 children. However, before he could grieve for long, someone submitted a memorial at the Grand Court Assembly impeaching the crown prince for accepting bribes and selling official titles during his tour of Jiangnan a few years ago. The ledger details were crystal clear, showing 500,000 taels of silver gained from selling offices. The evidence was conclusive, and the emperor was furious. "Xiao Chen, as the crown prince, you actually did something that shakes the foundation of the state. I am truly disappointed in you." The crown prince was confined to the Eastern Palace, and half a month later, the edict to depose him was issued. The emperor announced to the world that the crown prince's conduct was lacking, and his virtue did not match his status, stripping him of his position as heir apparent and banishing him to Qingzhou, not to return to the capital without a decree. The crown prince took his 2 concubines and simple luggage, and hurriedly set off on the road. That day happened to be the day of my grand wedding. His carriage and my bridal sedan chair brushed past each other. He lifted the curtain and happened to see the 2 characters Kui clan in the welcoming procession from a distance. He looked bitterly at my bridal sedan chair, then glared fiercely at Jiao. "You wretch, if you hadn't seduced me, my rightful wife would be Jia now, and the grand tutor wouldn't care about my life or death. It is all your fault." Jiyue sat in the corner, murmuring timidly and not daring to respond. Her life and death were now completely in the crown prince's hands. Even as a fallen heir, he was still the emperor's son. Crushing her to death would be like crushing an ant. Listening to the maid beside me, I looked at Qinmu leading the way ahead. He must have deliberately guided the deposed crown prince down this road. However, everything is in the past. The Kui family has stayed far away from the struggle for the throne, and I have chosen a talented and handsome husband. From now on, living my own life well is the only thing that matters.